Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe for new ComHack episodes every week.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to ComHack, where we hack communication. It's what we do. And last time we talked about just the simple and powerful hack of listening. It's important. Do it. And today we want to talk about something completely different, really. We want to talk about gaining compliance. And compliance can sometimes have a negative aspect because you're like, what exactly are you
regulatory
wanting to do?
stuff?
Yeah, I don't understand. So why don't you enlighten us a little bit more about compliance gaining?
Okay, so this is going to come across a little manipulative. So don't take this as manipulative, okay? But I'm going to try and manipulate you right now. No, okay. So mastering communications, one hack at a time, mastering communications is one of those things that really empowers us to have a better impact when we communicate, right? That's simple stuff. When I communicate, I want you to understand what I'm saying. And part of communication is also the reciprocal event, right?
Yeah.
So compliance gaining, it sounds all fancy. Basically, it just means how do we get compliance from somebody we're communicating to or with? So if I want you to do something, this is where the manipulative side comes in. If I want you to do something, then compliance gaining, or the effort to gain compliance, is done in the conversation or in the communication with you. You might not realize it. It might not be something that's very obvious, but I might be trying to get you to comply with something I want. So let's say an example. I'm a doctor, and I want you to start taking your medicine, or I want you to stop drinking soda, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That would be me trying to get you to comply with what I'm communicating to you. There's a process of compliance gaining, or lack thereof, that takes place. So compliance gaining is something that happens all the time, not just in the medical field, but in general, where we want people that we're communicating with to respond a specific way to what we're communicating about. Make sense?
Absolutely.
So one way that compliance is gained is some people talk about an exchange theory approach, where I'm going to gain your compliance by an if-then exchange. So if you comply and do what I want you to do, then I will give financial benefit, or I will threaten you and say, if you don't, I'm going to blank, fill in the blank. So is an if-then exchange theory that takes place, an exchange that takes place.
I mean, you could take that down to like super grassroots level. Everyone will understand this. When a parent wants a kid to do some chores, you're going to do your chores, and I'm going to pay you allowance. If you don't do your chores, you're going to be grounded. That's
simple.
If then.
Yeah. So a parent trying to get their child to comply with the rules of the house, there's a compliance gaining process. And they will either succeed or fail at that process. And there are many who I observe and I say, you're failing at that process. And then there are others, it's like, man, you're doing really good at that, right? Yeah. So the way, the hack that you would see in this, in gaining compliance in communications, is it's a goals, plans, actions. Goals, plans, actions. Well, that's
GPA.
There you go. Yeah. So goals, plans, actions. So the goal, obviously, is to clearly define what you're trying to accomplish. What is the compliance I want? I want my children to be more responsive in a positive manner to my instructions. So if I say take out the trash, I want my kids to take out the trash. So the plan for that would just be to plan out. What do I want? Do I want them to do I want to incentivize them to do it? Do I want to punish them if they don't do it? What's the process? And you can do that as direct as, I'm going to incentivize you by allowance, or I'm going to punish you by grounding, or you can take a roundabout approach, and you can encourage them when they do it. And maybe they get the benefit of the exchange in that is the affirmation they get when they've done something right, the appreciation. So you could take that approach and look at many different ways to model how you're going to get the compliance, and then you act on it. You just carry it out.
Yeah.
This is pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, a lot of times people don't have compliance gained because they don't put forth any effort to actually analyze the situation and plan out how they're going to fix it.
Yeah.
They just let it continue happening in whatever non-compliant way it does.
Yeah, come with a plan or leave in defeat. That's pretty simple.
So yeah, that's the bottom line. That's the hack. Goals, plans, actions, GPA. Set your goal for compliance. What are you wanting to accomplish? Build a plan around it, and then carry out the action. And if it doesn't gain compliance, modify and repeat.
Yeah.
Try a new plan.
Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be a little off topic, but if someone has ever played chess, this is where all those skills where you learn how to play chess really come in handy, because you want to think of, I want this person to do this thing. I need to think of how they're going to respond if I move said piece, or if I'm going to do this action, how will they respond to it? And if it's the response I'm looking for, then that's the move I need to take. But if not, then I need to find a different one. So it's thinking through, how is this person going to respond, and putting those actions into.
So take it a step further. Take it a step further. It wouldn't just be, if I move, how are they going to move? It would also be, if I'm staring over here, will that entice them to move this piece instead of this piece? I'm trying to throw them off in a way, or to modify their action by something I might be doing. I might do things to set them off. And that stuff happens all the time. You should see me with my brothers. Sometimes I'll push buttons just to see if I can make them break. I know that's really bad. But that would be a compliance gaining thing, or could be, right? If I'm trying to get them to comply by blowing their top, well, I will push this button a certain way, right? And then all of a sudden they're going to blow their tops. No, that's not the way. Don't use it for that. But that's the general basic gist of it all.
I think that's a solid hack. That's a great hack for this episode.
There you go.
And I actually want to talk more about this for next week. I think this would be a great theory. So why don't you guys join us next week? We'll delve even deeper into this. And until next time, you can always follow me. I'm at @TLJonesy_, and I'm Tim Jones, obviously.
And you can follow me at Joshua D. Weiss. Come back next week where we will continue mastering communications one hack at a time.